Frost's embraced Nora Fleming stared at her compass, then at the swirling white void that had once been a trail. The Alaska wilderness, so photogenic through her camera lens hours ago, had turned hostile as the unexpected blizzard descended. Her fingers, despite thick gloves, had gone numb. Her GPS was dead. The temperature plummeted as daylight faded. "Keep moving," she whispered to herself, each breath a crystalline cloud. The magazine assignment had seemed straightforward: capture winter's pristine beauty in America's last frontier. Now it might cost her life. When she stumbled and couldn't rise, Nora knew she was in trouble. Hypothermia clouded her thoughts. She tried to brush away the gathering snow with bare hands, a final, desperate attempt to keep warm. The cold burned like fire against her skin. The shadow materialized from the white blur, massive and dark. A bear? Nora couldn't summon the energy to feel afraid. Then the shadow spoke. "You're a long way from anywhere," a deep voice rumbled. Through frost-crusted lashes, she made out a bearded face beneath a fur-lined hood. "Help," was all she managed before consciousness slipped away. She awakened to warmth and the scent of pine. A cabin, small, rustic, with a roaring fireplace. Nora lay wrapped in thick blankets, her wet clothes gone. "You need to drink this." The man appeared beside her, offering steaming liquid in a wooden cup. His features came into focus: weathered skin, dark eyes beneath heavy brows, early 30s perhaps. Handsome in a rugged, untamed way. "Who?" her voice cracked. "Theo Blackwood." "You're on my property." Nora sipped the broth, warmth spreading through her core. "Nora Fleming. I got lost during a whiteout. Foolish to be out there alone." His tone wasn't unkind, just matter of fact. "I'm a photographer. I was working." Strength returned slowly. She clutched the blanket tighter, suddenly aware of her state of undress. "My clothes hanging to dry. Had to get you warm fast." Slight flush colored his cheeks. "I was respectful. Thank you for saving me." Theo nodded, moving to stoke the fire. "Storm's bad. You'll stay here tonight." The cabin was simple, yet comfortable: one main room with a kitchen area, the fireplace, a small table with 2 chairs, and a bed, which she occupied. Books lined rough-hewn shelves. Through a doorway, she glimpsed another small room. "Where will you sleep?" she asked. "Chairs fine?" "Not the first time. This is your bed. I can't take you, can and will." His tone brooked no argument. "You nearly died out there." As night deepened, the wind howled around the cabin like a living thing. Theo brought her more broth than her underclothes, now dry. "Rest," he said simply, turning away as she dressed beneath the blankets. Later, she watched him through half-closed eyes. He sat carving something from wood, his hands surprisingly gentle for their size. Firelight played across his features, softening them. "Do you live here alone?" she asked. Theo's hand stilled. "Just me and the wilderness. No neighbors? Nearest is 20 miles south. Family. Not anymore." He set down his carving. "You ask a lot of questions." "Professional habit." "I observe people." "And what do you observe about me?" Nora studied him. "You're comfortable with solitude, but not always by choice." Their eyes met across the cabin, a moment of unexpected connection amidst the howling storm. "Get some sleep, Nora Fleming," Theo said softly. "Tomorrow will come soon enough." Outside, the blizzard raged on, but inside, something had begun to thaw. Thawing heart's morning arrived with eerie silence. The blizzard had passed, leaving the world encased in pristine white. Nora woke to the scent of coffee and the sight of Theo by the stove. "How long was I asleep?" she asked, sitting up gingerly. "Almost 15 hours. He poured coffee into a ceramic mug. "Your body needed it." Her camera bag sat by the door, salvaged, apparently along with her backpack. Gratitude washed over her. "You went back for my things," Theo shrugged. "First light. Figured they mattered to you." He offered breakfast sourdough pancakes with preserved berries. They ate in companionable silence until Nora asked, "How far to the nearest town?" "Normally, 3 hours by snowmobile." With these conditions. He shook his head. Roads won't be cleared for days. Maybe a week? A week? Her editor would be frantic. I need to let someone know I'm all right. Got a satellite phone for emergencies. You can make one call. After breakfast, Nora stepped outside with the phone. The landscape was breathtaking mountains etched against crisp blue sky, trees bowed under snow's weight. Her photographer's eye itched for her camera. Her editor answered on the third ring. Where the hell have you been, Fleming? Caught in a blizzard. I'm safe but stranded. After assurances and deadline extensions, she returned inside to find Theo splitting wood. His heavy flannel shirt discarded despite the cold. His muscular back rippled with each swing. He paused, feeling her gaze. See something interesting, photographer? Heat rushed to her cheeks. Just admiring the technique? A ghost of a smile. The first she'd seen from him. Throughout the day, they established cautious rhythms. Theo taught her to tend the fire properly. She helped prepare lunch from his stores of preserved food. You're remarkably self-sufficient, she observed. Necessity, he paused. Used to work search and rescue in Denali, after ... His voice trailed off. After what? Lost my wife and daughter? Avalanche 3 years ago. Was working. Couldn't get to them in time. Each word seemed physically painful. I'm so sorry. Everyone's sorry. Doesn't change anything? Silence stretched between them until Nora offered her own truth. I understand loss. Different kind, but still. Was engaged to a fellow photographer. Found him, with my assistant, the week before our wedding. That why you're chasing dangerous wilderness shots alone? Maybe I'm punishing myself. Or proving something. Evening brought another storm. They played chess on a hand-carved set, talking more freely as darkness gathered. He'd been born in these mountains. She'd grown up in Philadelphia, escaping to nature through her camera lens. Your photos, what are they like? He asked. I capture moments between chaos. The perfect stillness that exists even in wild places. Show me. Nora retrieved her camera, sharing images from her journey. Theo's face transformed as he viewed her work. Something vulnerable emerging. See beauty where others see danger, he said quietly. Maybe they're the same thing. Their fingers brushed as he returned the camera. Neither pulled away immediately. The contact, simple as it was, sent warmth cascading through her that had nothing to do with the fire. Later, when he insisted again she'll take the bed, Nora challenged him. The floor's cold and uncomfortable. The bed's big enough for 2 adults to share respectfully. His eyes widened slightly. You sure? Completely. They lay back to back beneath the heavy quilts, a careful inch of space between them. But as sleep claimed her, Nora found herself aware of nothing except the steady rhythm of Theo's breathing and the strange comfort of not being alone. Winter's secret dawn's pale light filtered through frost-covered windows as Nora woke, momentarily disoriented by the weight of an arm across her waist. Sometime during the night, they had gravitated toward each other's warmth. Theo's sleeping face was transformed, younger, unburdened. She studied him, the photographer, in her memorizing details. The scar above his right eyebrow, the dark sweep of lashes, the softening of his usual stern expression. His eyes opened, catching her. For a heartbeat, neither moved. Morning, he said finally, voice rough with sleep, withdrawing his arm. Morning, she echoed. Missing his warmth immediately, they moved through breakfast with new awareness of each other. Small glances and accidental touches charged with unspoken tension. I need to check my traps, Theo said. You'll stay here. I'd rather come along. Still dangerous out there. I'm not helpless, Theo. She met his gaze steadily, and I'd lose my mind cooped up all day. Reluctantly, he outfitted her with spare winter gear, oversized but functional, and they ventured out. The world sparkled, ice crystals suspended in air. Nora followed his tracks, photographing the pristine landscape. Upon their return, Nora explored the cabin's corners while Theo skinned rabbits outside. A small door, previously unnoticed, caught her attention. Inside lay a workshop filled with exquisite wood, carvings, landscapes, and one heartbreaking sculpture of a woman holding a small child. That's private. Theo stood in the doorway, expression closed. They're beautiful, Nora said softly. Your family? He nodded once, jaw tight. You've captured such emotion. You're an artist, Theo. Just something I do with my hands. It's more than that. She gestured to the other pieces. These deserve to be seen. By who? Tourists buying Alaska souvenirs? Bitterness edged his voice. By people who recognize beauty in raw form. That evening they sat before the fire, drinking homemade spruce-tip tea with a splash of whiskey. The storm outside had intensified again, wind moaning around the cabin's corners. Would you let me photograph your work? Nora asked. Not for publication, just for you to see how others might view it. Theo considered, then nodded. Tomorrow, maybe. The whiskey warmed her veins, loosening the careful restraint they'd maintained. When Theo stoked the fire, firelight gilding his profile, Nora acted on impulse and touched his face. He went still beneath her fingers. Nora, he whispered, warning or plea. She kissed him then, tentatively. He remained frozen for a heartbeat before responding with unexpected gentleness, then mounting passion. His hands tangled in her hair as the kiss deepened. When they broke apart, his eyes were dark with desire and conflict. He struggled. I know, she said. Neither have I not really. You'll leave when the road's clear. Not a question. Does that matter right now? His answer was to pull her closer. They moved to the bearskin rug before the fire, slowly undressing each other with reverent hands. His body was a map of wilderness life scars, and strength and surprising tenderness. Nora explored him with photographer's hands, memorizing contours and textures. Their joining was like the land around them, sometimes gentle as falling snow, sometimes fierce as winter wind. Afterward, they lay entwined, firelight dancing across bare skin, the storm's voice a counterpoint to their slowing breaths. I never expected you, Theo, murmured against her hair. Sometimes the best photographs are the ones you don't plan, she replied. Tracing patterns on his chest, he laughed softly, the sound rusty from disuse. Is that what I am? A good photo opportunity? No, Nora said seriously, meeting his eyes. You're the landscape I didn't know I was searching for. Later, wrapped in blankets in each other, Theo spoke of his wife and daughter memories preserved like insects in amber. Nora shared her broken engagement, her subsequent retreat into work. Words flowed easier in darkness, with skin against skin. The blizzard wrapped around the cabin like a cocoon, creating a world containing only them. Tomorrow would bring reality's complications. Tonight they sheltered in each other's warmth against winter's howling voice. Part 4. The wild within 3 days later. Weak sunshine broke through clouds. The radio crackled with news of road-clearing efforts. Perhaps 2 more days until passage would be possible. We should check the western ridge, Theo suggested over breakfast. Weather's holding. Might be your last chance to photograph the valley before you leave. The unspoken hung between them, her inevitable departure. Since that first night by the fire, they had shared the bed properly, their physical connection deepening alongside tentative emotional bonds. Neither had put words to what was happening. They set out with snowshoes and supplies for the day. Nora photographed Theo in his element, navigating pristine drifts, pointing out animal tracks, face animated as he explained forest patterns. The man who had first found her was emerging from his shell of grief, laughing more easily, eyes brightening when they met hers. The ridge offered spectacular views, mountains like sentinels against sky, and valleys untouched by humanity. Nora captured panoramas while Theo scanned with binoculars. Wolves, he said suddenly, passing her the binoculars. Northern pack. Rarely come this close. Through the lenses, she saw gray forms moving with fluid grace across distant snow. They're magnificent. Heading this way? We should move. His tone sharpened with urgency. Winds shifted. They've caught our scent. They descended quickly, but the wolf pack moved faster, cutting across their path toward the cabin. Theo stopped abruptly. Change of plans. There's a ranger station 2 miles east. We'll shelter there. The distant howls grew closer as they adjusted course. Snow began falling again, fat flakes reducing visibility. When they reached the small station, Theo's expression was grim. This isn't good. They're hunting. Through the station's windows, they watched shadow forms circling. Theo inventoried supplies enough for overnight, barely. Why are they behaving like this? Nora asked, photographing the wolves from safety. Territory, maybe, or hunger. Been a hard winter. As darkness fell, they huddled by the station's small stove. Outside, wolves tested boundaries, occasionally scratching at doors. The structure held, but sleep proved impossible. I've never felt so alive, Nora admitted, reviewing her wolf photographs. Scared, but alive. Theo studied her face. That's what the wilderness teaches. Life and death, intimately connected, like us. She ventured, his eyes softened. What happens when you return to civilization, Nora? I don't know. Truth seems simplest. My life is in Seattle. Assignments, deadlines, but it feels hollow now. And mine's here. Always will be. She touched his face. Does it have to be either or? Their love-making that night was different, urgent, yet tender, bodies communicating what words couldn't resolve. The wolves' howls provided eerie counterpoint to their whispered nermans. Stop mourning brought silence. The wolves had vanished with the storm, giving us passage, Theo said, almost reverent. They trekked back to the cabin without incident. The radio announced roads would open tomorrow. Reality intruded on their private world. As Nora packed her equipment, she discovered a small wooden carving in her bag-o-wolf, exquisitely detailed, watching over a woman with a camera. Throat tight, she found Theo outside. Thank you, she said, showing him the carving. Something to remember. His voice held resignation. Or something to return to, she countered, determination forming. I don't want this to end, Theo. His eyes held cautious hope. What are you suggesting? Before she could answer, the distant sound of snowplows reached them. Time had run out. I need you to trust me, she said instead, reaching for his hand. Seasons changed. Spring's first tentative green touched the Alaskan wilderness. Nora adjusted her tripod as dawn painted the mountains gold. 3 months had passed since the blizzard that changed her life. 3 months of negotiation, reorganization, and transformation. The magazine had been surprisingly flexible when she proposed a year-long photo series on Alaska's seasons, especially after seeing her winter images featuring Theo's sculptures against nature's backdrop. The features had generated unprecedented response. With galleries inquiring about both the photographs and the sculptures, they showcased her cabin rented from the Park Service 2 miles from Theo's, gave her independence while allowing proximity. Not that they spent many nights apart. Their relationship had evolved like the turning seasons, growing deeper roots with each passing week. Finishing her sunrise shoot, Nora hiked the familiar trail to Theo's cabin. Smoke curled from the chimney against morning sky. Inside, she found him carving at the table they'd expanded together to accommodate her computer and equipment. Morning, he said, setting down his tools to pull her into an embrace. His kiss tasted of coffee and possibility. The light was perfect today, she murmured against his mouth. Wait until you see the shots. They moved together with practiced ease, sharing breakfast and plans for the day. The initial awkwardness of merging their lives had given way to comfortable rhythm. Nora maintained her Seattle apartment for occasional city visits, but increasingly, this felt like home. Delivery truck made it through yesterday, Theo mentioned. That gallery owner sent another email about showing your winter series alongside my pieces in Anchorage. And Nora raised an eyebrow, knowing his reluctance to display his work publicly. I'm considering it. He looked up, expression softening. You've changed me, Nora Fleming. We've changed each other. After breakfast, they walked to the ridge where they'd encountered the wolf pack. Spring melt created small streams everywhere, life bursting forth after winter's containment. They'd returned often. But today, Theo seemed particularly intentional about their destination. At the overlook, Nora gasped. A small bench had been installed, one of Theo's creations, carved with intertwining wolves and forest scenes. When did you do this? Been working on it for weeks. Thought we needed a proper place to watch the seasons change. She ran her hand over the detailed carvings, emotion tightening her throat. There's more. Theo reached into his pocket, producing a small wooden box, another carving, this one of intertwined hands. Inside nestled a ring of polished wood, with a small, perfect diamond at its center. I know we haven't known each other long by conventional standards, he said, suddenly nervous, and I know your work will always take you away sometimes. But I want this ridge, this valley, these mountains, to be the place you always return to, the place we build together. Tears blurred Nora's vision. Are you asking what I think you're asking? Marry me, Nora. Not because you're giving up your life for mine, but because we're creating something new together. She whispered, then louder, yes. Her voice echoed across the valley. He slid the ring onto her finger, then pulled her into a kiss that promised all the seasons to come. Later, tangled together in the cabin that had sheltered them through winter, they made love with the slow assurance of those who know they have time. Afterward, Nora traced the scar above Theo's eyebrow, committing every detail to memory not as goodbye, but as continuation. I never thought I'd find home in a person, she confessed. Nor I. After losing everything, we haven't just found each other, Nora said thoughtfully. We've found ourselves. Outside, the last snow melted from the mountains under spring sun. Inside, they planned their future, a larger cabin incorporating both workshop and darkroom. Summer exhibitions, winter retreats. Two paths converged, creating something neither could have imagined alone. When summer arrived months later, they married beneath the midnight sun, surrounded by the wilderness that had brought them together. Their vows, like their love, acknowledged the seasons of life, the blizzards and thaws, dangers and beauties, the wild landscape of human hearts finding unexpected harmony.